So welcome everyone. Thank you for being here today to hear a little bit about my work. I'm very happy to share this activity, which is one of the latest activities that I'm involved. Hopefully you will have like a good time listening and watching this presentation. So basically this experience that I'm going to talk about is under the GIA project, the Governance and Infrastructure Project in the Amazon, that is led by the UF and many other institutions. The GIA project has 4 communities of practice and learning in 4 different regions. And the region that I'm going to talk about today is this one. We call them the Upper Madeira Basin region, which is in the border between Bolivia and Brazil. So under the programmatic activities that we had in this Upper Madeira mosaic in the GIA for this 2020, we plan 8 activities. And the activity that I'm going to talk about specifically is the activity number 3, which involves this transdisciplinary research involving different kind of stakeholders, involving universities, NGOs, grassroots organizations, students, professors. A little bit of context. So the geographical area that we are doing this project is this area of the Madeira River Basin, but we are focused in the upper Madeira, in the upper part of the river, which, as told you before, is between Bolivia and Brazil. In the Brazil, we are including the Rondônia state, and in the Bolivian, we are including Pando and Beni states. So what is the issue here right now? So in the Upper Madeira River Basin, we already have 2 big dams in the Brazilian side. We have the Santo Antonio Dam and also the Geral Dam. And there are 2 dams that are in a planning process. One of them is a binational, which is between Bolivia and Brazil, and the other is in the Cachola Esperanza community, which is inside the Bolivia part. So basically, the communities that we're working with, which are Villavella, Cachola Mamoré, Guayara Merín, Cachuela Esperanza, Puerto Consuelo 1 y Puerto Consuelo 2. So all these communities had been seeing some effects since especially Jirau was built in this area. So there is information, researchers especially talking about migratory fish. So how the migratory fish had been reduced, the abundance, and also other commercial fishes, which affect a lot of the fishers in the area. So basically, these communities have been affected already by the construction of these dams, and there is a lot of worrisome, like what is going to happen with these communities if the binational dam and the Cachola Esperanza dam will be built again. So basically, that is the issue going on in that area right now. And when we start this project with them in 2019, we basically include 19 stakeholders. And we did like a baseline trying to identify what will be, what was the best way that the GIA project will help them or support them in the activities. So in this area, we identified that there is a lot of gap information. Like the communities in this area, they do not have clear and complete information about what is really going on in these social ecological systems. Also, we identified that there is some disconnection between the national, regional, and local governments, so there is no flow of information. So basically, the communities and the grassroots organizations ask for research, and they ask for having clear results and information that is written in the way that they could understand and they could disseminate to the people of the communities. Then the universities that we are working with, they identify that they don't do research in this area, so they want to generate more research. And also they want to increase their research skills, especially for the students. And the NGOs also identify that they will like to have more networking with especially local communities and try to put forward different kind of projects. So based on that evaluation, we create this project that I'm going to talk about. Basically, this model, this is the third time that I'm applying this model. The first time that I applied was for my undergrad research, and then for my master's research, where basically I include different kind of stakeholders, but the focus is the communities. So basically the communities are the ones who define their needs and their questions, and we start from that. And then through a process of negotiation and, you know, conversations, we create a project. So basically I incorporate the same model because I had good results in the past, and based on our previous evaluation for 2019, I thought that it would be a good idea to try to use the same model that I used before. So basically we start our conversations with our partners, and we call the project Transdisciplinary Participatory Research, Governance and Infrastructure in the Upper Madeira River. So who are part of this activity number 3? So we have the GIA partners and the communities. Basically, we have La Organización Comunal de la Mujer Amazónica, which is OGMA. This is a grassroots organization that works in the area since 1984. It's led mostly by women and work for women. But also the important thing is that they work for many years in this area, so they know very well the communities, and the communities know them very well. So the communities that we work in this project are these 5 communities that I showed you previously in the map. Also, we're working with the Instituto Madeira Vivo, which is our partner in the border in Brazil. They work as a similar way of the OGMA. They are kind of a bigger institution, but they are from the Brazil side. Then in 2014, after a big flood in the area, when the Girao Dam and Sant Antonio Dam were already, you know, working, they have this big flooding, and the people in the communities in the ground, they in their imaginary, they think that because of these dams, that big flood in 2014 was much worse. So in 2014, OCMA and Instituto Madeira Vivo create this Comité Binacional de la Vida en la Cuenca Alta del Madeira, and this committee, it has different time. Hey. Sorry, my kid. So this committee binational has different kind of stakeholders working with them. They have schools, they have neighborhoods leaders, they have also people from the local government. So it's not just OCMA and Instituto Madeira Vivo, so they have different kind of stakeholders. It's a network per se. Then we have FANAWA. FANAWA is an NGO, a national NGO, and his focus is on watersheds and fisheries. So they have a lot of information regarding to what is the availability of the fish in the area, in this river, and how the dams have been affecting the sediments and the fish in the area. We also work with Universidad de Rondônia, UNIR, in Brazil, and Universidad Autónoma del Beni, which is in another state of Bolivia. So also we have the University of Florida too, you know, the coordinator, the leaders, and also we create 2 different groups. One group is the Mentores GIA and the other group is the Revisores GIA. So the Mentores GIA basically are researchers from the University of Florida, from the GIA, who are mentoring the students from the UAP, the students from the university. And the revisores GIA are the professors from the University of Florida who are reviewing the final draft of the research projects. So basically, the students are receiving all the support, academic support, from people who are experts in their field. And also the coordinador investigador de campo, which is the one who was in charge to the field work. Then Universidad Amazónica de Pando. So we focus in the students from this university, which is in Pando, in the other state that are involved into this area. So basically all the authorities from that, from the rector to the different professors and directors, and of course the students. So how was the selection process? So basically our selection process the whole process has two phases. The first phase was the selection process, but also it was online class. So the idea was to train 20 students from the Universidad Amazónica de Pando and train them in research methodologies. So during this class, they will basically write their proposals. And at the end of the class, the ones who get evaluated from the mentores and revisores GIA, they will pass to the second phase, which is going to the field and basically do the research. So how we work with the research questions. So basically, we talk with OCMA, our host organization in the field. We talk with the university professors, the local university professors, but also our questions has to be aligned with the objective of the GIA project too. So basically it was a lot of conversation, and there was a lot of negotiations too in what will be the focus of the research. So basically, the Universidad Amazónica de Pando, they had 6 areas, but since one of the areas are health, and we don't really have any research line focused on health, we didn't include them. So we include 4 big areas from the Universidad Amazónica de Pando. And because we really want this, to have like a very interdisciplinary group of researchers that will do transdisciplinary research in the field. So we start from that, and we start, like these negotiations. There is a lot of meetings, like, okay, what do you really want? So we start talking with the communities, with OCMA. They gave us their input. Then after we talk with people from the GIA and also from the UAP, after they gave us their input, we send it back, the questions, to OCMA and to the communities. And they were the ones who gave us the okay for the research. Whenever they gave us the okay for the research questions, we sent the call to the university. And the idea was to have 20 students, 5 per each area, and starting from that. So then we have 17 students in total from different disciplines like biology, political science, vet, social working, environmental engineering, contaduría pública, law, sustainable tourism, and agroforestry. So these 17 students, they had this online training with Dr. Andrea Chavez from May to July. So a little bit more than a month. But during all these trainings, the pandemic started to not rise, getting worse, because at the beginning in our program, in our timelines, the students supposed to go to the field between June and July. So when they start the training, we wasn't sure if they will be able to do the field work or not because of the pandemic situation. So we have to reorganize and rethink and renegotiate many things. So when the class finished, the mentores GIA and revisores GIA, they receive all the proposals and they evaluate them. And after that evaluation, we had a total of 7 students from biology, law, political science, social working, contaduría pública, and environmental engineering. So these 7 students were the ones to finish successfully the online training on research networks, and they will pass to the second phase. So this is nice to show. Is a word cloud that we generate based on the first evaluation or questionnaire that we gave to all students. The idea was to know their expectations and why they were in the program, you know, in this online class. And it's really interesting because, as we can see, they say research to learn, to do my thesis, to work, knowledge, profession, you know. So basically they were really engaged and they were really motivated to have this opportunity. And so when we already have, you know, the students, the selections, then we do an invitation for who wants to be mentores and who wants to be revisores, because we really need to create this support network that will support these 7 students on the field. And we have to match what the students want to research, you know, to do, and what is the expertise of the mentores and revisores. So after that, we have, you know, the 7 students. Then we have the mentores, and as you can see, there are mentores from the GIA. Maybe you see some familiar faces, but also we have the director of the FAUNAGUA, which is the NGO, that is a mentor, and also Dennis Lizarro, who works in the Universidad Autónoma del Beni, which is the other university in the other state. So we will be able to include like other partners into this big process. And for the reviewers, we have some professors from the UF, but also, for example, we have one of the professors in the Universidad del Beni. Also, Carol Doria, who is a researcher in the UNIR, in the University of Brazil. Mariluz Paez, which is a doctor from the UNIR too, and also Erlan Dominguez. For us, it was really important to include somebody from the OCMA and from the Comité Binacional. And even though we have just Erlan Dominguez here, it is worth to mention that there were 7 people who worked with the Comité Binacional who reviewed the thesis. So it was like a group of people, but they decide to put Erlan in these infographics, but it was a group of 7 people that work in the committee and in OCMA that they give the final revisions to all the researchers, because as I mentioned before, for us was very important that the communities and our local partner are agree on everything that they were doing, because basically this research was for them to fill all the gaps that they identified during all this process. So this is just to show you what were like the process of how the mentores and revisores will, you know, support the students basically in the whole process of research, from the theoretical part, the methodological part, prepare them to go to the field, help them to build their research techniques, and then help them with the data analysis and the final document. So basically the mentors will support them through the whole time to the students. What were some benefits and obligations for the students? So the benefits that they will have this support from the mentors all through the process. Then they will get trained on different methods and research techniques and data analysis. and also this monitoring process, like not just from the mentors, but also for the reviewers and for other people who are engaged in the project. And of course, the graduation, right? They will graduate, they will receive their documentation, and they will be ready to work. And what are the obligations? They have to do all the, like follow all the directions, all the suggestions. They have to apply everything that they learn in the best way. They have to implement all the suggestions and everything. And they have to finish everything in all the deadlines. And also we saw like that it's important to clarify the communication channels within the GIA, just to have a clear idea, especially for the students, what to do if they have any problem. For example, the students, they have to communicate first with their mentors. If the mentor does not know how to, deal with the issue, the mentor will communicate with the local coordinator. And if the local coordinator cannot, solve the issue, they will communicate to the mosaic leader. And if not, if there is no way to solve the issue, we're going to communicate with OCMA, which is our host organization. So this process was helpful in the sense that, we don't have like the students calling everyone or messaging everyone. They just follow the steps that we need to follow. So after that, we were getting ready for the fieldwork. As I mentioned before, we're supposed to go to the field between June and July, but obviously that was not the case. So we postponed the field work, and we were in touch with OCMA, with the grassroots organizations, or with the communities regarding to how the pandemic was in the field at the time that we were trying to travel. At the beginning, we want to go to the field in October for 3 weeks. So we were like monitoring the situation. We have meetings here or there. We have some researchers who go to the fields previously and see how was the situation in the communities, and then we decide like, okay, that it was good to go to the field in October. But before that, we trained them, the students. We organized 2 workshops that to talk with them important things about how to behave in the field, especially in the era of COVID. Here, I just want to show you how was the timeline for the second phase, as we call it. So they start the second phase in August, and they will finish in December. So in August, they did the methodological part and the theoretical part. In September, they prepared for going to the field. In October, they did the field work, and right now at this point they are analyzing their data and writing the thesis. And on December we are gonna close the project with a symposium when they will present their posters. So here is what I was talking before about the talleres, the workshops that we did to prepare the students before going to the field. One of the topics were, like how you're gonna build trust in the communities, how you have to behave ethically during the working field. You have to remember that it was the first time that these students they're going to the field, so they don't have previous experience. Also, how do you have to manage the field work with a COVID-19? What is the IRB? What is for? The UAP and the UAB, they don't have an IRB process to follow. However, we train them on how to do an IRB, and they wrote their own IRB. They wrote their consent forms, and they gather all their data, and they have their consent form signed. Because we thought that it is good for them to know all these best practices doing field work. And yeah, so, and also for going to the field work, we also create a fieldwork team. So in this fieldwork team, obviously we have a OGMA, our host organization, with Lidia Anti, who is the director, and Erland Rodriguez, who is part of the Comité Binacional. But also we have, oh, I forgot to put here from the Instituto de Madeira Vivo, Iremar Ferreira. And from GIA, she was, we have Cecilia, who is our local coordinator, and she was the field work coordinator. We have Dennis Lizarro, who is a researcher, a mentor, and he works in the other university, local university in Bolivia. We have Paul Van Dam, who is the director of FAUNAWA. He's a mentor GIA and a fieldwork assistant. So as you can see, the students had a very proficient group of researchers who helped them navigate the fieldwork. And the students, here we have the list of the students, are the communities where they work. Cachola Esperanza, Puerto Consuelo 2, Villa Bella, Cachola Mamoré, Puerto Consuelo 1, like 5 communities in total. So we had very strict security measurements for COVID, like also like mask, disinfection, hand disinfection, how disinfect, you know, the spaces, and distanciamiento social. However, when we get there, so as you can see here, it says, en Guayaramerín, las medidas de bioseguridad son nulas. It's, I mean, it appears that, you know, everything was normal, nobody was using anything. So we were kind of shocked, like why they are not really using all these measurements, but still we insist to the students and researchers to really follow these COVID measurements, these medidas de bioseguridad, just in case, right? Because we are under this pandemic and we cannot afford to like have anybody sick. And also we contact like the gobernación, and we ask for the decree, like how is the political situation over there related to the COVID, and they said that there was no close down yet. I mean, it was, the people could do whatever they want. So we say, okay, it's fine. But still, we ask the students and researchers to follow the guidelines. In here, you can see some of the pictures, the students gathering the data. We have different kind of research going on. Here you can see also more, there are the 2 mentores, the researchers that go with us and help the students to navigate in this field work. So what is next? Right now, as I told you before, the students are analyzing their data with the help of the mentores. The idea is like they will have everything ready until the end of November. We know that there is a very, very short time, but there is nothing that we can do really. And we have this symposium on December 4th. The idea of this symposium will be a hybrid, a hybrid model. So they will be people from the UF participating online, but also on site. We are inviting people from the communities and OGMA and also some mentors to be on site, you know, with them, like to support the students and also to receive the information, especially for the communities. And then in 2021, we're going to do a public event, El Carretón del Conocimiento 2, between February and March. And in this public event, the students will get back the year results to the communities. But the idea is not just for the student to give back their thesis, the document. I mean, they will, but it's not just that. One of the students will create a fisher guide for Cachuela Esperanza, because she was focused on the fisheries. So she has a lot of material to really create this guide, and also informational cartillas from the researcher, one occasional paper. And some of the students are still defining what kind of product that will help to the communities they will prepare. Because as I told you at the beginning, all of this was creating on this identification of gap knowledge. So we really want, like, this research will serve to the communities in order to fill these gaps and also empower them in order to, you know, mobilize or whatever they want to do against all this big infrastructure, or talk with the new government, or wherever they want to do it with this information. So there is some reflections. Basically, it's been a learning process, especially for me, even though, as I mentioned before, this is the third time that I am applying this model. It was kind of different because it was bigger, more ambitious that I did it before. Include more people, mobilize more people, try to, you know, include more people in the process. And definitely it was a learning process for me. Some of reflections are, you know, the community perspective always goes first, is what I'm trying to do from the beginning. Like, what do they need? What do they really need for them? You know, not for us as a researcher, but for them as a communities that need information to take informed decisions about their territories and their livelihoods and their lives. Be flexible and adaptable. For example, because of the bureaucracy, universities there has a lot of bureaucracy, so I have to deal with a lot of bureaucracy, especially in the UAP, especially, you know, for the budgeting, you know, who is going to pay for this, who's going to do that, who's going to get involved, whose name is going to be on the front page, you know, that kind of things. And also because of the pandemic. The pandemic was a huge thing. At some moment, we thought that we will, like, cancel everything because we didn't want to risk any, you know, the communities or the students or nobody, because it's not worth it. However, on a side note, we confirm with each community before entering with their health department if they had positive COVID cases, and most of them told us that for at least 1 month they don't have any positive cases. And our local coordinator had been monitoring that, and we did not get any notice that from the people that participate in this field work, nobody got sick, and they already passed 2 weeks. So you think we are fine now. This process is a very time-consuming process. You know, you have to go from individual meetings from each one, explain over and over again what you're trying to do, and then you know, reframing, rethinking, redoing, and then go to group meetings, and there start this negotiation between all stakeholders. And that leads me to the next reflection, which is negotiation, conflict, and communication skills are key. I know that UF has really good classes on that. And if you didn't take it yet, I mean, I suggest you to take it, because those, I mean, still, if you have all the theories and everything, you have to practice that on the real life, which is really, really hard to do. have a clear plan since the beginning and review it often. So you have to have a clear plan that what you really want to do, but also be flexible and adaptable enough to navigate with any, uncertainty that cross your path in any moment, and manage expectations and be clear and transparent, especially with the local communities. We cannot go there and say that we are going to save the world when we are not doing anything. I think we always try to be very, very transparent and clear on this and saying, hey, because, when you go there and they think that you have a lot of money and a lot of time, and you just need to be really sincere and transparent and say, we can help on this, and that's it, and go from that. So I think those are my most reflections, I guess. And so thank you to all of you to hear, and I'm here to listen. I mean, if you have any questions.